up to a tournament, it's not like you just like, post a Discord message, there's a tournament happening this Saturday, come through. I'm not trying to snipe at anyone, but it's like legit what most people do, like, oh, come play my tournament, it's happening now. 0 heads up, then no one rocks up. We've done months of marketing.
We had like 25 or 20 FGC players from Cape Town pull through. We kept it safe and sanitized. But now we have to do the same thing in Joburg, but we're just gonna go drop off the gear. So the whole point of the profile shoot is no one ever takes FGC people seriously because no one ever shoots them. So we want to create profiles. So if sponsors want to pick up players, they can come literally look at a database, see their past history of these guys' matches, see what they actually look like, because a lot of people's names don't even make sense. When you see them IRL, you're like, oh, that's you.
Let me into my zone. Please don't let me into my zone. 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 Please don't let me in. Yeah. Oh, get out. Cause I'm back in my zone now. I'm number one. Back in my zone now.
My name is Gabby Brondani-Rigo. I'm one of the managers of Goliath Gaming, and I'm also the PR and brand manager for the team. From a PR perspective, I came into the gaming scene very much not involved in the gaming scene. So I was approached maybe 4 or 5 years ago by a producer actually who was doing production for one of the new tournament organisers at the time. So I was like, well, if there's any opportunity and any time to get involved in esports that can maybe help him on his journey, may as well just do it now. So that's how I got into the space.
My name is Michele Brondani, also known as Stickelish. I'm a co-owner and team manager of Goliath Gaming. My career in esports started, I'd say, about 14 years ago. Prior to that, I was a professional soccer player, or semi-professional. I used to travel the world representing South Africa as well as my club. Sadly, due to an injury at school soccer, that day I went home with current partner Ashton Muller, and I saw him playing Counter-Strike. Pretty much got my own computer in the next few days, and yeah, that was my story on the gaming side that just started.
I've been playing, competing in esports pretty much for as long as I can remember. I got introduced to kind of Rage, which was, I just went there as like a casual gamer. And upon going past the expo, there was a huge CS 1.6 tournament happening. And it was just like 32 teams, like there was 50 grand on the line, PCs to be won. And I just decided at that point, that's where I want to get involved in and start competing.
When we got together as management and we were thinking of different names, the one that stuck out to us the most was Goliath. That showed the strength not only of our management team but of the players we intended to pick up as well. So one of the co-owners, Ashton Goals Miller, his nickname used to be Goliath actually. He was a very small boy, he had all the lands, probably the smallest, and I think it was his mom, if I'm not mistaken, gave him the suggestion of going as Goliath as a nickname, and yeah, it was a no-brainer for us.
It was literally at this table, we were having dinner with the one evening, and I joined Flipside, a team with that Sticklish was in, and we were talking about obviously the times of Bravado and the local esports scene, and I guess the want to the drive, after discussing a lot of issues and good and bad things, we wanted to kind of talk about or theorize like how to more professionalize it after seeing what happens overseas, how they treat players, how everything happens overseas, you know, what could we maybe do potentially to help that. And then we just kind of all just said, what about starting our own team? Dad ended up saying, called a meeting with a whole bunch of people that he thought would be an integral part of the business. We had someone from the legal side, from the finance side, you know, obviously his business expertise, a couple of us too, that know gaming on the ground, and decided to form Goliath Gaming. And that's when we started our team in 2017.
So I think one of the biggest things when I got involved in the esports and gaming space that I sort of noticed quite early on was that most of the gaming world, especially within South Africa, was run by guys who were just very passionate about gaming but didn't really have any understanding of like the business side and the marketing side. And from my side, I almost came from the opposite side, so I didn't really understand the gaming space, but I understood marketing and PR backwards.
My name is Talani Sishi, also known as Lata TZ. Background is Counter-Strike Global Offense, also 1.6. I date way back even to 1.4 at a point. You know, I always grew up playing computer games, but it was, you know, early games, Tele Game Station with the cartridge, if you remember. You know, it was actually always Street Fighter, it was Tekken back in the day. I remember playing with my brothers. We had quite a nice community. I did retire after a year in 2010. I remember getting a phone call from one of my friends saying, "Tools, we need you, come back." And I was like, damn it, I don't know if I can, mate. I don't remember how to use a mouse and keyboard after like a year and a half. And I went to the first land at Liberty, and that's when I got noticed by Energy Esports. They picked me up after that, and yeah, started traveling with them to ESWC. They kicked me out the team actually in Energy Esports. So I was like, whatever, I'm gonna go join Bravado, join them, and yeah, beat them for a qualifier to go to Canada ESWC. And I think that's when I realized, God, this gaming thing isn't as easy as well, naturally sitting for you know, certain people. You got to have a knack for it if you really want to make it to the top.
So one of the big things that I've noticed is that within like the FGC right now is that they assume that they're at the same level as international. Gameplay they could be, because we just had like Dax come back from Vegas coming 9th in the Tekken 7 Kumite last chance qualifier. Like that's an achievement on its own. Like our players' skill are there, but like the difference is we don't have the luxury of what like the United States and the UK have for these kind of things. Even Japan, like these guys have like huge sponsors. They want to like drop boatloads of money to make these events happen. Like for instance, PlayStation just buying out Evo. People in SA don't believe in the FGC yet, which is it's a little frustrating. Like they all want to be a part of the bandwagon right now, but they don't understand that we're not at the level where international is, because we still got like 3 to 5 years before we get to the point where everyone wants to be a part of it.
Tournament organizers really rely on the community to make things work, right? Without that $50 that you pay for entry, there's no prize pool, right? Maybe there's no way to pay off the rental space or renting the equipment and machines. They're not as well off as you think, or maybe even not at all, right? It's just, it's a very common misconception, and I feel like home users need to spare it to the side. Something that I've noticed that is kind of pressing to me is something that Jago, part of the team, always used to say, right? And we never really kind of agreed with it, but I was thinking more about it, and it's very true. We need to be better at the game in order for people to respect us more about what we say and what we do with it.
I'm Solid Jago, aka the community manager for UGC. For me, organizations are a very big part of growth for our scene, because those are the guys that have the branding out there, and those are the guys that are putting the players' names out there. The guys are not privileged enough to fly overseas and here or there, so these are the guys fitting the bill, obviously mentally preparing these guys, putting them through coaching and things like that.
My name is Ken Bucas. I'm 20 years of age and I'm part of Goliath Gaming. I just got into it by mistake. I bought Tekken when one of my cousins was coming around. Apparently he loved the game very much, and I thought by the end of each trip that he would just I would just ditch it and go on to playing something else. But for some reason, I stuck with it through all the hardships. I found something very interesting in the fact that every time I learned just one little thing after another, I got this sort of satisfaction from it, that every time I did that, I got better.
Callum wasn't one of the players that was consistently coming first, but he was a player that showed a lot of promise, which is one of the big things we do look at.
He's got a notebook. It is like this big with the red thing on it, with the red back, where he writes in about specific characters and writes in about specific people.
So that's the assessment criteria. That's what type of session/tournament it was. Dates, person, moves, scenarios, and summary. It's on my own notebook. It became so much that I had to, for obvious reasons, put it all on my phone and simplify it a little bit, condense it into what is the most important type of information. And I still continue to do it and probably will do until my dying day, which I hope is not soon, seriously. We made a deal in terms of I wanted to be part of a multi-gaming organization. They wanted one of the finest players in the country to be a part of their organization. And we settled it there and there.
Esports is in its infant stage, and it is going to get to that point. I mean, we've got a sports psychologist and we've got a yoga instructor coming in specifically for boot camps and etc. So it's becoming more and more formalized throughout the years, and the more people we bring on board at Goliath Gaming. And I saw it as like a vessel that sort of completes the whole circle in a sense. And that's the best sort of organization that's going to get you there the fastest place. Two, they actually care about the players.
We've got a psychologist, we've got a yoga instructor, we've got a financial advisor, a public relations wizard. So we're able to help the players with anything, not only within the game, but outside of the game as well.
I'm a very optimistic person, but I've also been around for a long time and we've seen lots of these peaks and troughs and restarts over and over again. But I think for the first time in the entire time that I have been here, I can say that I think our scene is finally at a place where it's got enough of a platform, there's enough people in each specific part of the industry, whether it's creating the content, whether it's doing proper tournaments, or people that are starting to challenge or make better tournaments. And you're talking about MGOs that are starting to step up, players that are taking it more seriously in representing themselves as brands. I think all the facets of the esports kind of ecosystem have got enough on the ground to kind of build from this point. A lot more brands are starting to really get involved, supporting these teams, getting return, coming back. That's the most important. Repeat support, and ultimately I think that the esports scene in the next 5 years is probably going to be in the best place that it has been compared to where we are now.
It helps that you have some sort of reputation in terms of the competitive scene that you're wishing to be sponsored for. In my case, I didn't win that many tournaments, but you could see that I was on the route to being one of the top players in the country.
My advice to the guys out there is partake in the tournaments, get good, win, and who knows, it could be you.
We were working on getting our invitees for the Spring Showdown Invitational. There was an immense list of people to choose from in the FGC as a whole, right? Absolute monsters. Every time they press a button, the earth would tremble.
The 8 players that we selected are 8 players that have competed in every single one of our tournaments this year and have placed extremely high.
But unfortunately, we only have what we can work with, which is the stats that we have from a past tournament.
So we've called this meeting today because basically what's happening is we are doing an invitational at the end of October, and we're going to be inviting. So we need to decide if we're inviting 4 Tekken, 4 Street Fighter, or just 8 Tekken.
I think 8 Tekken.
I think 8 Tekken as well. Yeah.
I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, 8 Tekken.
First up, we had Callum, right? As we said earlier, Callum joined GG, right? His potential was skyrocketing. My man is still riding off the high from TOC South Africa. So he was really still on that high of being as powerful as he is and being ready to dominate the rest of the force.
So Callum is also, he's part of Goliath Gaming, so that's also, and he's got
That's a big thing, dude. He's on the same team as Jabby, dude.
Yeah, he is, yeah. Those guys don't choose, and these guys are, from my understanding, these orgs pay them salaries. These guys.
Second place.
Here comes a new challenger, Callum Bierkes.
Ghost Proxy is probably one of the most unorthodox players you're ever going to find. Mainly plays characters like Lucky Chloe and Eddie and Lars, players that he quote-unquote can dance with.
Bruh, we got the ace of all, you know what I'm saying? The dancer of dancers. He gonna be dancing on Callum, showing him how to use Eddie.
Extremely strong showing back at Spring Showdown when he literally danced all over the competition.
It's always nice to watch Ghost Proxy versus Callum because I think Ghost always wins as well.
Yeah, against Callum, yeah. It's
because
mental
Ghost has
block.
got a I don't think it's a mental block. I think Callum's fundamentals are good, but I think Ghost's fundamentals of just being a little bastard. It's like,
Here comes a new challenger, Ghost Proxy.
Jazcat.
Jazcat. We have
That's 6.
I haven't seen much of him though.
Hold on.
Jazcat.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's finally got a bit of an internet connection. So he competed in the last tournament and he lost to Droopy 2-1. Which is pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Jazcat, obviously we know, man came from nowhere, you know, and just absolutely started dominating with his like ninja onslaught of characters, normally maining Raven. Lately, came in to make use of Kunimitsu, one of the newer DLC ninja characters.
The underdog for this tournament is definitely going to be Jazcat.
Yeah, 100%.
Here comes a new challenger, Jazcat X.
Iggy, of course, the Titan that I was talking about earlier, now with Team Bravado, is probably one of the most powerful players out there.
Here comes a new challenger, Iggy.
Dax hasn't lost to Iggy once.
No, he has. It's been back and forth, dude.
It hasn't. This year, Iggy has a 0% win rate against Dax.
Yes, so Dax has won him every time this year.
Every single time they've met in tournament,
Yeah.
Iggy has lost to Dax.
Dax PT, or the expert, he is the big man, right? My man is super well known now after winning Hit the Streets, going to Las Vegas, and having probably the worst signature he could have ever put on a trophy ever. Probably one of our most resourceful players. He's shown to have true dedication and an indomitable will.
Here comes a new challenger, Dax PT.
Big Daddy Mike, I think needs no introduction. A literal computer, man, 8 calculators to gain their power. And there is no way that you can beat this man in a match of numbers.
Talk about someone who's completely expected and completely predictable, Mr. BDM, the Robot King.
A literal robot, capable of feeling, but the only thing he feels is W's. I mean, you can just check out his track record. That like he's been almost unstoppable on the scene.
Here comes a new challenger, Big Daddy Mike.
Swag, definitely one of the swaggiest players on the team. Almost only plays Akuma. Man is as fierce as they come.
Well, we all know why Swagapon, man. Ultimate DPs, bruh. Cause he's a cheating Swagapon, bruh. He's a cheating fencer, like Blinger would say, but ultimately skill.
Yeah.
He's placed top 4 most tournaments that I've seen him. Sure. Just doesn't give a
Here comes a new challenger, Swagabond.
Sly RSI, what do you guys think?
Well, who doesn't love legend kicks, bro? Who
Yeah,
doesn't
dude.
love Bruce Lee, bro?
Yeah, dude. Who
Be
doesn't
like water.
Who doesn't like committing to 50-50s your whole life, dude?
Like, who doesn't like Sly?
Sly and Fry, yeah.
Dog, exactly. My man's gonna serve up a real braai platter.
Sly RSI, probably one of the coolest homies you'd ever meet. Definitely an unorthodox and wild card player, and made it really far during the Invitational series. Such a great guy.
Here comes a new challenger.
Sly RSI.
I think we've got our 8 players, guys. I'm super excited.
Dude, I'm hella excited, dog. Can't wait.
Who's your money on? My money? Okay. Dex. That's what I'm feeling, right? He has gotten an immeasurable amount of experience from going to Las Vegas with Hit the Streets. I knew he was a top competitor.
Out of this whole list, I don't know who can win. Like, I don't know who will win this tournament.
Everything was going smoothly, at least we thought it was, because there was a huge oversight that we completely forgot about.
So the production going into Spring Showdown 2 was crazy.
The amount of capital that you need to run these things, it's not easy.
We're gonna be wearing this stuff for the music video.
Everyone was quite excited, but nervous, right? This is a lot on the line.
We see a snippet of what they're putting together and we're like, wow, I don't even remember looking half as cool.